Hello and welcome, everyone. Today, Max and I are here to talk about something a lot of people struggle with: finding time to study English when life is already busy. If you have a full schedule but still want to improve your English, this podcast is for you, right, Max?
Absolutely. Emma, it can feel impossible to fit English into your day when you're busy with work, family, or school. But don't worry, we're here with some tips to help you make studying easier, faster, and more effective. So let's get started with our first tip.
Yes, let's dive right in. One of the best ways to study English with a busy schedule is by doing what we call micro-learning. Micro-learning means studying in short bursts, like 5 or 10 minutes at a time. You don't need an hour to study. Even a few minutes a day can make a big difference. For example, you could review vocabulary on a mobile app while waiting for the bus or listen to a short podcast during breakfast.
That's a great tip, Emma. I think people often feel that if they don't have a full hour, it's not worth it. But really, if you add up those small moments like waiting in line or commuting, you might find that you actually have 15 or 20 minutes every day to study. Imagine learning a new word every day on your way to work. That would be over 300 words in a year.
Exactly. And those short sessions help you remember things better because your brain gets regular, small doses of English. This is a proven technique called spaced repetition. It's like giving your brain a little reminder every day instead of a huge lesson all at once. You'll remember things more clearly if you study a bit each day.
Speaking of small doses, another idea is to make English part of your daily routine. Think of things you already do, like checking social media, listening to music, or watching videos. You can start following English language accounts on Instagram or TikTok, or switch your favorite songs to English versions. This way, you're getting practice without needing to set aside extra time.
Yes, listening to English music or watching short videos is so helpful because it's fun and doesn't feel like studying. Plus, music and video help you learn pronunciation, rhythm, and slang naturally, which is great for sounding more like a native speaker.
That's a fantastic point, Emma, and if you're someone who likes to watch TV or movies, try watching in English with subtitles. Choose something familiar so you don't have to worry too much about the plot. You can pick up new words and phrases while still enjoying your free time.
And if you feel confident, you can even try turning the subtitles off after a while. This forces your brain to listen more closely and really focus on understanding. It's challenging at first, but it's a great way to improve listening skills.
Absolutely. Another thing busy people can do is focus on vocabulary that they actually need. For example, if you work in an office, focus on words you'll use at work, like meeting, deadline, or project. This will help you feel more confident when you speak, and it's easier than learning hundreds of random words.
Yes, focusing on useful vocabulary is a big time saver. And if you're learning for travel, for example, focus on travel words like reservation, flight, or directions. Learning words that are useful in your life makes it easier to remember them and use them.
Great tip. Another study method for busy people is to try speaking English aloud whenever you can. If you don't have anyone to practice with, you can talk to yourself. I know it sounds funny, but talking to yourself in English is great practice. You could describe what you're doing, like, "I'm making breakfast" or "I'm getting ready for work."
That's a really practical idea, Max. I've even heard of people practicing by thinking in English. Instead of thinking in your native language and then translating, try thinking directly in English. Even if it's just simple sentences like "today is a busy day" or "I need to buy milk," it's a great way to keep English fresh in your mind.
Yes, thinking in English helps you get used to the language without feeling like it's a study session. Another tip I'd like to share is using English with friends or family members if possible. If you have friends who also want to practice, you could make a habit of speaking English together for a few minutes every day.
Definitely. If your friends or family are learning English too, it's a great idea to practice together. You can even make it fun by setting small challenges for each other, like using 3 new English words each day or having a conversation about your day only in English. It's supportive and motivating.
I love that idea, and here's another one. Try to keep a small English notebook with you. Anytime you hear or see a new word, write it down. This way, you don't forget it. Later, you can look up the meaning or review it. It's also nice to see your progress as you add more words and phrases.
That's such a smart idea, Max. And if a notebook feels too formal, you can even use your phone. There are plenty of note-taking apps where you can quickly jot down new words or phrases you hear during the day. Plus, you'll always have it with you to review whenever you have a moment.
Exactly, and for those who like to read, try finding short, simple texts in English. You could read news articles, blog posts, or even children's books. Don't worry if you don't understand every word. Focus on the main idea. Reading is an excellent way to build vocabulary and see how sentences are put together.
Yes, and that's especially helpful if you're working on your grammar. Reading shows you how grammar works naturally without needing to focus on every rule. And the more you read, the more natural English will start to feel.
So true. Another tip I want to share is using English in small tasks. For example, you could switch your phone or social media language settings to English. It's a small change, but you'll start seeing everyday words in English, and it makes practice a part of your normal life.
Great point. And even small things like writing grocery lists, setting reminders, or making to-do lists in English can help. These are things you already do, so making them in English gives you practice without adding extra tasks.
Exactly, and remember, the goal is to make English a natural part of your day, even if it's in small ways. Studying doesn't have to be a big event. Every little bit helps.
Absolutely, Max. If you find small ways to use English every day, it becomes part of your life, not just a subject to study.
So, picking up where we left off, let's dive into another tip for studying English when you're busy. One of my favorites is using flashcards. Flashcards are small cards with a word on one side and the meaning or an example sentence on the other. You can make physical flashcards or use an app, which makes it easy to study anywhere.
Yes, flashcards are great, and the best part is that you can review them quickly, even if you only have 5 minutes. Plus, with an app, you can make digital flashcards and set reminders to review them every day.
That's right, and another useful habit is to start keeping a diary or journal in English. Even if you only write a sentence or two about your day, it helps you practice thinking and writing in English. For example, today I went to the store or I had coffee with a friend. It doesn't need to be complex.
Exactly. A journal helps you focus on simple sentences, and it's personal, so it feels natural. Plus, writing your own thoughts in English makes it meaningful and memorable. It's a fantastic way to track your progress, too.
And speaking of progress, try recording yourself speaking English. Talk about your day or something simple and then listen to it. You'll start noticing your pronunciation and how you sound, which can really help you improve.
Great idea, Max. Recording yourself helps you hear areas you might want to work on, like certain sounds or intonation. And it builds confidence because you're practicing speaking out loud, which is essential for becoming fluent.
All right, Emma, let's dive right back in with some more study tips for all our busy listeners. Now, one tip that I think is super effective, especially if you have limited time, is practicing shadowing. Have you heard of that, Emma?
Oh, definitely, Max. Shadowing is a powerful technique. For anyone who's new to this, shadowing means listening to someone speak in English like in a podcast or video and repeating what they say right after them, almost like an echo. It's great because you're practicing pronunciation, rhythm, and even learning sentence structure without needing extra time to study.
Exactly. It's like copying the sounds and the flow of real English. And the best part, you don't need to understand every word. Just focus on the rhythm and the sounds. This is something you can do while listening to podcasts, watching short videos, or even songs.
That's true. And speaking of listening, another fantastic tip for busy people is to add English into your routine with something like passive listening. It's as simple as having English audio on in the background while you're doing other things like cleaning or cooking.
Yes, you're not actively studying, but your brain is still getting exposed to English sounds and words. Over time, this helps your brain get used to the language and recognize common phrases. It's a simple way to stay connected to English without needing to focus 100%.
And for anyone who drives or commutes, listening to English radio, podcasts, or audiobooks while traveling is a perfect way to fit in some study time. Even if you only catch a few words or phrases here and there, it all adds up over time.
Definitely, you could even try listening to the same podcast episode or audiobook chapter a few times. The first time, you might only understand the main idea, but by the second or third time, you start noticing more details. It's a great way to reinforce learning.
Another idea for practicing English while you're busy is to use context clues. This means looking at the words or sentences around a new word to guess its meaning. For example, if you see he was very exhausted after running, you might guess that exhausted means tired. This is helpful if you don't have time to look up every word.
Yes, context clues can really help you keep moving when reading or listening in English. Plus, guessing words from context is a skill that native speakers use all the time. It's a great habit to build.
And while we're talking about building habits, another tip is to set specific, small goals for yourself. For example, I'll learn 5 new words today, or I'll listen to 10 minutes of English. Small goals are easier to achieve, and they keep you motivated. Over time, these small goals can add up to big progress.
Absolutely, Emma. Setting small goals also makes studying feel less overwhelming. When you're busy, it's easy to feel discouraged if you have huge goals like I want to be fluent, but if you focus on learning a few new words or understanding a simple conversation, it feels more manageable and you're more likely to stick with it.
Exactly. And if you meet those small goals regularly, it becomes a habit and learning English fits naturally into your day. Here's another tip that I think is helpful: labeling items around your house. If you're learning vocabulary for daily life, you can put small labels on objects like fridge, table, or window.
Oh, that's a clever one, Emma. When you see those labels every day, the words start to stick in your memory. And because you're using these items daily, you're constantly reinforcing the vocabulary. Plus, it's a fun way to bring English into your environment.
Yes, and you can make it more interactive by saying the words out loud when you see them. So each time you open the fridge, you say fridge. This repetition helps the words become natural for you, and it doesn't take any extra time to study.
Another great way to get more English into your day is by using English to think about your schedule. Instead of writing out your daily plan or to-do list in your native language, try writing it in English. It could be simple things like buy groceries or call mom.
That's a fantastic idea, Max. Using English to organize your day is so practical, and it keeps you connected to the language in a natural way. Plus, if you're already writing a to-do list, this doesn't add any extra work. You're just changing the language.
Exactly, and here's another tip that busy learners might like: try creating little English moments in your day. For example, maybe you take 5 minutes in the morning to read an English news article or 5 minutes at night to review some vocabulary.
I love that idea. English moments remind us that learning doesn't always mean sitting down with a textbook for hours. Sometimes it's just a few focused minutes. Those small moments can add up to a lot of practice over time.
And to add on to that, if you like technology, there are lots of great language learning apps that make it easy to have these English moments. Some apps even have quick quizzes or daily challenges. So you get a bit of practice and feel accomplished even if you only spend a few minutes.
Absolutely, and a lot of apps also have community features where you can connect with other learners or even native speakers. So, if you want to practice writing or speaking, you could join a discussion or chat with other learners.
Right, and even if you don't have time to talk to people directly, you can try joining online groups or forums for English learners. Many of these groups are active on social media, and it's a nice way to see how others are learning and get tips. Plus, you can pick up casual, everyday language.
Good point, Max. And even reading comments or posts in English helps. It's all part of exposing yourself to the language, and it doesn't have to be formal or time-consuming.
That's so true. Learning doesn't always have to be serious. Even things like memes or funny videos can be useful. If you're laughing or having fun, you're also learning without realizing it. And laughter makes it easier to remember what you've learned.
Absolutely, and laughter also reduces stress, which can make studying easier. On that note, if you're too busy or stressed to study, don't be hard on yourself. Taking small breaks and enjoying the language is just as important as serious studying.
Well said, Emma. Learning a language is a journey, and it's okay to take it at your own pace. The most important thing is to keep going and find ways that work for you.
Yes, and we hope all these tips help you find ways to practice and improve your English, even on the busiest days. Just remember, every small effort counts, and each little bit of practice gets you closer to your goal.
That's right. Thank you so much for listening to us today. We hope these ideas make studying English easier and more enjoyable. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more tips and share this podcast with your family and friends who are also learning English. Keep practicing, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, and good luck with your English journey.